Hello to whoever's watching this video. Today I'm going to teach you how to use channels in Fortnite Creative and how to use the trigger device. So let's get right into the video. Now, before we start learning how this trigger works, I'm going to show you how channels work. So in almost every single device, in your devices tab, there is a section for channels. So I place my device, I go over here, and as you can see the top left hand corner, it says all options, and then this is basic options, all options, modified options, and channels only. So if I go to channels only on this device, you can see what happens with the channels. So basically what this trigger device does is when it'll send a signal out to the game. The game's like, okay, so it'll send this signal. It'll be like, oh yeah, la di da di da, boom. It'll send this signal. Whatever signal you set it to is based on what you change your settings to. But then this device will hear that signal and be like, okay, well I have to do this, and it'll go into this code and figure out what it has to do when it hears that signal. So if this sends channel 1, this will hear that it sends channel 1, and it'll have to enable and receive from channel 1. So this will send, it'll go up into the game. This will be like, oh yeah, I heard that, and it'll be like enable receive channel 1. So this can also go the other way around. When player spawns, transmit on channel 1. So transmit on means that it's sending the channel. So this will send channel 1. It'll go up. This will be like, oh yeah, I heard that channel 1, and it'll be like trigger and receive from channel 1. So it'll hear that channel 1, be like, oh, I need to trigger this, and it'll send channel 1. And a cool thing also that some people don't know about channels is that if you open your inventory, go to the My Islands tab, there'll be this, in the bottom right hand corner, there'll be this thing that shows you open channel browser. If you press that icon that you have, it'll show you all the channels that are being used in your islands. So in use channels, it'll show you the channel, how many times it's being transmitted or being sent out, and how many times it'll be receiving from. And you can teleport to the thing that's transmitting it. It's not really good at doing that, but it does it kind of close. And you can also teleport to the thing that receives it. Boom. And in all devices, you can teleport to any device that you want. This is really good if you have a lot of channels and your map's getting really complicated. You can teleport to any device that you want. So I'll show you an example of where my map's just a lot of channels. So in this map, my randomized box art map, there is a lot of stuff going on. You got triggers everywhere that send a bunch of channels, and everything's doing a lot of stuff. And it can be hard to figure out what you're doing if you haven't like marked it out. So if I open my Islands tab and go to my channel browser, I can see everything that's going on here. So I can see how many times channel 1's being received, all these things, and I can see what channels open. If I scroll down here, I can go like, oh, I see channel 25 and skip to channel 44, so channel 26 is open, so I can use that for my device. Or I can go down here and be like, oh, so channels 91's open, I can use that for my device. So basically this helps you keep everything organized and all this stuff, so you won't have to be like, oh, what channel is being used or whatever. All this stuff is already done for you in the creative menu, which is really good for you. And enough with learning how triggers work. Now I'm going to show you how the trigger device works. So let's get right into that. So first of all, with this device is purely made to send channels. So it can be complicated for some people, but its main purpose is to send and receive channels and do everything with channels. So the first setting I'm going to go over is all the way at the bottom, when triggered. So this will show you that whenever it is activated, it'll send this channel. So however it's activated, by like a sequencer, your pickaxe, you touching it, however it's activated, it will send this channel. So for this tutorial, I have this set up that whenever channel 1 is sent, it'll say channel 1. So I'm gonna start the game and trigger this device. Now, right now it says when triggered, it will send channel 1. So if I trigger this, as you can see, it sent channel 1. And you can tell when it's triggered when you hear that sound or see that visual. And I can hit this as many times as I want, and it'll send channel 1. Now that we're done with that, I'm going to show you all the other channels. Activating team, this will show who is allowed to trigger or activate this. And it gives you all the teams to select from. Activating class, this will show what class is allowed to activate this device. Trigger by player, this will if this is off, when I step on it, it won't trigger. Okay, so I can't trigger it at all. Okay, so but if it's on, whenever I step on it or touch it at all, it'll trigger. Trigger by damage. Imagine this is on. Whenever it takes damage, it'll trigger. So if I swing a pickaxe, it'll trigger. It can be like 1 damage, 300 damage. So if I get a deagle or a scar or something, and if I were to shoot this, it won't break, but it'll trigger. So this will basically show that whenever it takes damage, it'll trigger and send the channel and tell everyone to receive it. Trigger by items. This one, if an item were to be dropped on top of this and everything else is disabled, when the item touches the trigger, it'll trigger it. So if I wanted to send channel 1 whenever the item spawns, I could put this item spawner on top of this trigger and it'll trigger whenever the item touches it. But since there's when item picked up channel, this isn't really useful. But that's just an example of how that could be used. And then we have trigger by vehicles. Pretty self-explanatory. You get a vehicle in here like where are my vehicles? Like a baller. If I were to run over with the baller, it'll trigger. Right now it goes through it, but like when I start the game, watch. Now right now I have it so that it'll only trigger by vehicles. So if I touch it's not going to trigger. If I break it's not going to trigger. If I drop items on it, it's not going to trigger. So the only way I can activate this channel is by taking my baller and touching it. And as you can see, it works and activates the channel. Boom, so that's how trigger by vehicle works. The next channel is trigger by sequencer. The sequencer is this device in your creative menu. You go from the top, you keep going down, and you go until you see this item. It says sequencer trap. If I were to place it down and place the trigger into this area, the sequencer would activate it. So this blue thing, whenever it crosses this trigger, it'll activate. But if I were to turn this off and do this, it won't activate at all. So now that channel 1 will activate by sequencer and channel 2 will not, you will only see channel 1 activate. So let me hit this. Channel 1 will activate, but you did not see channel 2 activate. Do it again. Channel 2, you see it did absolutely nothing at all. But channel 1 did activate. One more time. Boom. So that's how the trigger by sequencer works. Now, after trigger by sequencer is activated on game phase, this basically will give you a time where it will automatically activate for you without anyone having to touch anything. So if I turn this all off, it only have active in game phase. Game countdown is when I start the game, you'll see this 1, 2, 3, and this will activate during that 1, 2, 3. So channel 1 will activate during 1, 2, 3, and then channel 2 will activate during the game start. So right when after the game countdown gets like to 0, it'll start. So I'll show you an example of this. As you can see, you heard that trigger right there, and then this one triggered. So this item triggered during the game countdown. As you can see, it didn't show up anything because the game hasn't started yet. But as you can see, this triggered, and then after when the game actually started, then this triggered. So that's how that works. And now we have trigger time. Times can trigger. This basically shows how many times you can activate this device. So I only set this to once and turn on trigger by damage, trigger by player. I will only be able to press this once. But then if I set this one to twice, I'll only be able to press this twice. And then the max for this is 10. But if I set this one to infinite, I'll be pressing it infinitely. So let me show you. So as you can see, when I pickaxe this once, boom, it'll work. But when I pickaxe it again, it won't. Boom. It's not working. Now this time it'll trigger it'll only trigger twice. If I pickaxe this once, it'll work. Pickaxe this twice, it'll work. But then when I pickaxe it again, it won't. This one can do infinite, so I pickaxe it once, it'll work. Twice, 3 times. I can do this many times as I want and keep going. Now I'm going to set times to trigger to infinite again. Trigger every X times. Basically, if you set this to once, every single time I activate it, it'll trigger. It'll send the channel. But if I set this to 2, or however many times I want it, I have to press it twice for it to actually activate. So I can set this to 100, and I have to press it 100 times for it to activate. So I'm gonna set this one to 1. Or actually no, I'm gonna set this one to 5 here. So this one's on 5. And then this one is on going to be on 100. And I'll also give us a gold scar. So this one is on 5, and this one triggers every 100 times. So if I shoot this 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, it'll send the channel. So I'll show you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it sends the channel. So one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it sends the channel. Now this one I have to hit 100 times. This is good if you have like weapons and you want them to have to shoot it 100 times. So if I have a scar, I can do it really fast. That was 30 bullets. That was 30 bullets. Now we're at 90 bullets. So I shall only have to activate it 10 more times for the trigger. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom. As you can see, it triggered and worked exactly how it was supposed to. Okay, so now that I have that all set up, delay basically after it's triggered, it'll wait 3 seconds and then it'll actually send. Reset delay is how long I have to wait before I can activate it each time. So I have to wait 1 second every single time I want to activate it. Trigger sounds, that was the sound you were hearing every single time I pressed it. Dun, 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 dun. If I turn this off, you won't be able to hear it. But if it's on, weird thing about the trigger, if it's on and you're really far away from it, like way over here, and the trigger activates, you won't be able to hear it because it's too far away. Next one is trigger VFX. Basically, this is the thing that you saw on the trigger that like was the animation, the blue thing that shows. So if I were to turn this off, as you can see, and I start it, when I activate this, you will hear it, but you won't see it. So watch. You heard it, but you didn't see it. Again, you heard it, but you didn't see it. So there's no animation on the device, but you can still see it. Ooh, okay, so now we're on visible during game. Pretty simple. If it's just off, you won't be able to see it whatsoever. So you can go through it, you won't be able to see it at all. And then, where is this? Receive damage when visible. When invisible. If this is on take damage, if this is invisible, and I were to shoot it, then it'll still activate like normal. So if I set this to on and everything, and the visible during game is off, and it takes damage, and it triggers by damage, I turn this on. See, you can't see the device at all, but even though it's invisible, I can still shoot it and you see it activated. So I can still shoot it and it'll activate. It's gonna be hard to see, but you saw it works. So next on this is enable during game start. Basically, this orange thing tells you whether or not it's enabled. If it's blue, then it means it's enabled. It actually works. If it's red, then it's not enabled. So if I were to turn enable during game start off, then at the start of the game it won't enable. So if I wanted to do this, trigger and receive from channel 2, or when trigger receives from channel 2, and then I do activate my player, and then I also enable when received from channel 1, as you can see, and I set this to when triggered in channel 1. Whenever I activate this, it'll enable this, allowing me to activate this. So let me show you. So as you can see, this one is not enabled during game start because of the red light, and this one is enabled. So if I push this or activate it or do whatever, it won't do anything. But since this is enabled and received from channel 1, this item will send channel 1, and I press it, and then this will enable, as you see by the red light, and now I can activate this. Boom. Okay, so the next item on our list is all the channels. Basically, this will enable it, this will disable it. Reset times triggered when receiving from. If you set this to trigger every 10 times, and this will reset when receiving from channel 1. Basically, I will send this. This will trigger every 1 time, actually 5 times. That's shorter. And then trigger channel 2. So right now, this will trigger every 5 times, but it'll reset those triggers when received from channel 1. So if I were to activate this 3 times, you hear it activate 3 times, but it didn't do anything yet. But then activate this, then it'll reset this channel. So now I have to activate this 5 more times. And then it'll trigger. So I could do this 4 times. and then now it activated 4 times, but then I reset it, then I'll have to do this 5 more times in order to start it again. Boom. Next on our list is trigger and receiving from. Basically, if I were to set this to 1, this will allow it to, whenever I see channel 1, it'll send channel 2. So I can do cool stuff where, if I wanted to, whenever this, cool example. This is enabled during game start. When this receives channel 1, it'll send channel 2. This enables when receiving from channel 2. And whenever a player enters this zone, it'll send channel 1. So basically, if I were to send channel 1 by going into this zone, then it'll activate this barrier by triggering channel 2 instead of just channel 1. So I don't know if that was a bad explanation, but I'll start it and show you how it works. So basically, right now this just doesn't work. This is a barrier. You saw it. It doesn't work at all. But this will enable when I send channel 2. So right now, if I were to go into here, boom, sending channel 1, this trigger will activate because I sent channel 1, this trigger will activate and then send channel 2, which will then activate this, making it so I can't go through it anymore. So basically, I sent channel 1 by going into here, this trigger activated, sent channel 2, and it activated this. So that's how that works. Cool trick you can work. And that is about it for the channel device and how channels work. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe and like, and tell me what type of tutorials you want me to do next, and I will do it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching to the end, and I will see you later.
Do it! Just do it! Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Nothing is impossible! No, what are you waiting for?